Mommy, if I'm correct, grandfather's other company branch is in Italy, right?
Casey asked, working on his laptop.
That's right. Kiara's face darkened, her lips curving into a smirk.
That's perfect, Casey said, his face turning serious as he stopped typing. Mommy, I promise you, every person who hurt you in the past better prepare themselves because I'm going to deal with them for you.
You're right, my son.
I have a score to settle with all of them, Kiara smiled. I'll teach them a lesson they'll never forget.
Kiara was no longer the weak Kiara of the past.
This time, she was returning to Italy, rich and powerful.
Casey, Kiara looked at him.
I'll need your help, she said, knowing he'd do anything for her. You don't need to ask me, Mommy.
I'll do anything for you, Casey assured her. My revenge. I don't want it quick.
I want it slow and tormenting, just like they tormented and manipulated me in the past. And my mother's company, I must reclaim it the right way, Kiara added.
Sure, Mommy, Casey said, closing his laptop.
He had been a minute away from bankrupting Paolo's company but halted after hearing Kiara's words.
That's my boy.
She ruffled his hair and pinched his cheeks.
You're just so adorable. Mommy, that's enough, Casey turned away, hiding his red face.
He fixed his hair and returned to his serious expression.
Casey must be looking forward to our revenge.
I'm looking forward to it, too, Kiara thought, her expression turning cold, making even the driver, Leo, shiver slightly.
They arrived at the airport. Are you sure you'll be all right on your own, Kiara? Leo asked, hesitating to leave. I'm going to be fine.
Seriously, this is the 5th time I've told you, Kiara crossed her arms.
You're getting really annoying, Leo.
You shouldn't worry.
My mommy has me to keep her safe.
But since it's grandfather's wish for you to come along, I'm fine with it, Casey said, confusing Kiara.
I didn't think you'd catch on.
You're a smart kid, Casey, Leo said, flashing 2 thumbs up.
Kiara sighed, giving in. She knew Thomas would worry if she sent Leo back. Fine, you can come along.
I guess you might be useful, she added before walking confidently toward the private jet like the boss she was meant to be. Italy chairman, Kiara Thompson. After Kiara left 7 years ago, Asher had become the most feared and wealthiest aloof CEO of FS Company, with his cold red eyes and jet black silk hair.
Asher, honey, we've been married for years now. Don't you think it's time I bore a baby for you?
Chloe tried to wrap her arms around his neck but backed away in fear when she saw his cold expression.
Is it because of Kiara?
She's long dead. You should forget about a like that who cheated on you for another useless guy. Chloe's eyes widened as Asher's hand gripped her neck tightly. She struggled to breathe. Don't you dare say such a thing in front of me, unless you want to die. Asher's voice was terrifying, his eyes ice cold.
Chloe nodded desperately, and he released her. She ran to her room.
Every day, Asher became more terrifying. Since their arranged marriage, set up by Mrs. Huxley, Asher never looked at Chloe with love, only hatred.
Why can't he see me? Why can't he love and cherish me? She coughed, rubbing her neck.
She's dead, and she'll always be a dead person to everyone, whether you like it or not, Chloe muttered.
The fact that Kiara was dead gave her courage.
She believed Asher would eventually forget her and fall in love with her instead.
Her phone rang.
Who's this bastard calling me at a time like this? She hissed, wanting to ignore it, but the caller persisted.
What is it this time? She snapped. Chloe, didn't you check who was calling before answering? Tessie barked. I'm sorry, Mother. I didn't check, Chloe apologized. So, did you get what I asked for? Tessie asked.
But, Mother, I already gave you all the money I had.
Is Father's company still having trouble? Chloe asked, worried. Of course not, you silly child. Your father's company is thriving thanks to your husband's investment. Chloe smiled in relief. But as the most beautiful and only wife of the wealthiest man, Asher, you should have enough cash to share with me, Tessie added. Chloe struggled to respond. What should I do? I can't tell my mother about my situation here. She'll only create more trouble if she meets Asher, she panicked. Don't worry, Mommy. My husband is super wealthy. I'll get plenty of money for you, Chloe assured her, ending the call quickly. Thankfully, she didn't ask about my plans to have Asher's child. I almost died today, Chloe muttered in relief and went to wash up. Finally, home sweet home. Mommy, I'm finally back to avenge you. Kiara's lips curved into a bold smile as she stepped off the private jet. Mommy, where are we going next? To grandfather's company, Kiara answered, turning to Leo. Since you're here, I'll have to trouble you with something. It's not a problem. What do you want me to do? Leo asked. Buy a large mansion for me under my name. Casey and I will meet up with you after we handle the company affairs. Of course, your wish is my command, Kiara. Before leaving, Leo ensured the car was ready. Casey, it's time, Kiara said, getting into the blue Lamborghini Gallardo. She didn't open the door for Casey, he could handle it himself. Once Casey was settled, she sped off. 25 minutes later, I can see the boldness in your faces. How dare you start the meeting without your chairman? Kiara's voice boomed as she and Casey barged into the meeting room, halting the session. Who the hell are you, young lady? Do you know where you are? One shareholder shouted, calling security. Everyone was stunned that a young woman had entered Thompson's company without an appointment. You see, I tried to be nice, but it looks like you want me to handle this the hard way, Kiara chuckled. The shareholders laughed, unaware of who she was. Mommy, are they bothering you? Should I mess up their lives for you? Casey asked. His words enraged the shareholders, who ordered security to throw them out. 7 minutes later, after Kiara had beaten the security guards who dared touch her, she turned to the stunned shareholders, who now understood who she was. We apologize, Chairman Kiara Thompson. We didn't know you were the daughter of our retired chairman, Thomas Thompson. The shareholders stood, bowing and apologizing. They couldn't believe they'd offended the infamous and fierce daughter of Thomas Thompson. Geez, humans are so unpredictable. We didn't have to do this the hard way, but you left me no choice. Kiara shook her head at the groaning guards. Now, get out, she ordered, her face darkening. Without hesitation, the guards scrambled away. Kiara dusted off her hands and walked to the chairman's chair, her chair. She let Casey sit on her lap and looked at the boardroom. Sit down. We can now start the meeting, she said with a smirk. The meeting was a success because the shareholders tried their best not to make a single mistake while presenting their reports. We're sorry for offending you, Chairman Kiara, they apologized again, afraid of getting on her bad side. Don't try making that same mistake with me ever again, Kiara said simply, her calm voice carrying a threatening weight. The shareholders only dared to leave once Kiara and Casey had exited. Mommy, my hands are already itchy. I need to hack something for you and stir up some trouble, Casey said, tugging on Kiara's shirt. I know, baby. You know what? Kiara smiled. Let's rest today. Tomorrow, our revenge begins. Asterisk, what will Kiara and Casey do next? Don't miss the next thrilling episode on Dark Voices, asterisk. Finally, I hope you won't hold me back tomorrow then, Casey replied, excited, imagining all the things he could hack. Since Kiara wanted a slow revenge, he planned to toy with their prey little by little. I won't hold you back. I want this, too. Tessie blinked, speechless. I've been home all day. I didn't go anywhere. What happened exactly? I don't understand. There's no money in my account.
It was emptied this morning with no trace, no explanation, Paulo growled.
What? What are we going to do now?
Tessie asked, her voice shaking.
Paulo pinched the bridge of his nose. I'm going to the National Bank tomorrow to demand an explanation. I didn't give anyone my card. You didn't give anyone your card, and yet you're asking if I stole your money. Am I that untrustworthy? Tessie thought bitterly. She shook her head. Yes, you really should go to the bank and ask what's going on.
Paulo shot her a look, then headed straight for the bedroom.
Tessie sat back, anxious.
The company was already in financial trouble, and now this. She thought of calling her daughter first thing in the morning but remembered she had lied to Chloe about her husband's investment in the company. Ever since Chloe married Asher, he hadn't given them a single cent, which frustrated her deeply. Sighing, Tessie called the maids to clear the dining table.
She left for the bedroom, dreading tomorrow's news. Casey woke up in a good mood.
He decided to wake his mom, knowing she was lazy about getting out of bed. He climbed down from his bed, slipped on his red flip-flops, and headed to his mother's bedroom. He knocked lightly, but there was no response. Slowly, he pushed the door open and grinned when he saw his mommy fast asleep. He tiptoed to the edge of the bed and tapped her gently, but all he got was a grumble of annoyance from Kiara. He giggled. His mommy looked cute when sleeping, but he knew he had to wake her. It was already 9:20 a.m., and Leo would arrive any minute.
Mommy, wake up. You're going to be late for work, Casey said, shaking her lightly. Kiara opened her eyes, dazed, and whined like a child. Baby, I'm still sleepy. Let me sleep for 10 more minutes. Besides, I'm the owner of the company. I can come in whenever I want. No, Mommy. You must lead by example.
You're their leader, Casey said, puffing out his chest and speaking seriously.
Kiara laughed. Okay, fine. You win.
Let me go shower so I can make breakfast for us. She got up and headed to the bathroom, turning briefly to tell Casey to take his bath as well.
Lying in the huge bathtub, Kiara took her time pampering herself.
When she finished, she reached for the bathrobe and towel, wrapped herself up, and walked to her walk-in closet filled with luxurious brand-name clothes. She picked a simple dress and ankle boots since she was only going for an inspection.
10 minutes later, she was ready.
She grabbed her bag and headed downstairs, where she saw Casey sitting with Leo, who was holding a briefcase.
Good morning, Mom Kiara.
Hope you had a good night's rest, Leo greeted as she came down the stairs.
Kiara dropped her bag on the couch. Yes, I did. Have you prepared everything for today's work?
I already called the manager and told him not to alert the staff. They're on standby, Leo replied, smirking devilishly.
Kiara muttered, that's good. I want to see what they're really being paid for. Be right back. I'm going to make breakfast for us. She prepared a simple breakfast of bread, omelets, and milk.
When she brought the food out, Casey and Leo were already seated at the dining table.
She laughed and served their portions. Halfway through breakfast, Kiara's phone rang with a unique ringtone she recognized instantly. It was the special tone for Father Thomas.
Smiling, she answered in a girlish voice, Dad, how are you doing over there?
Hope you're doing well.
Laughing in his husky voice, Thomas responded, Hold on, young lady.
I just called to check on you and my little pumpkin.
I also contacted Mr. James to assist you with the company work just in case it's too much.
Kiara smiled to herself. *, my dad is always the best.
He knows me well,
but I can handle this. Okay, Dad, but I'm really doing fine. Besides, Leo is here with me. He can assist me with the work, Kiara said brightly. I just don't want you overworking yourself. If you don't understand something, you can always count on me. I will, Dad. Okay, I'll talk to you later and make sure you take care of yourself. I will, Thomas replied and hung up. Leo, having finished his meal, stood up. I'm going to prepare the car. He bowed slightly, walked to the living room, and picked up the briefcase. Kiara leaned toward her son and gently wiped his mouth. I'm going to work, baby. I've microwaved your lunch, so when you're hungry, just go to the counter and get it. Nodding obediently, Casey said, Yes, Mom. Oh, and why don't you use this opportunity to look for a school you'd like to attend? Kiara asked. Casey pouted in protest. Mom, I can't go. What they teach there is so simple, and all those kids are annoying. Kiara knew how intelligent her son was. His IQ was beyond impressive. While other children were still crying in their mother's arms at age 3, Casey was obsessed with laptops. At 4, he started hacking, which shocked her. Ruffling his hair, Kiara said, I have to go to work, and I can't leave you alone. So, choose any school you feel comfortable with. She took the dishes to the kitchen and loaded them into the dishwasher. 2 minutes later, she finished, dried her hands, walked over to Casey, pecked his forehead, and said, Be a good boy and don't cause any mischief, okay? Casey gave her a forced smile. Yes, Mom. I'll be good. I love you. Goodbye. She pinched his cheeks, grabbed her bag, and headed outside, where Leo stood beside the car. This way, ma'am, Leo said, opening the door for her. Kiara stepped inside. Leo walked to the other side, sat down, and ordered the chauffeur to start the engine. At the National Bank, Mr. Paulo was still demanding an explanation, but the manager remained silent. He had already explained that the money was withdrawn using Paulo's valid details. Laughing in frustration and anger, Paulo snapped, So, you're trying to say I withdrew all the money from my own bank account myself? Exhausted from the back and forth, the manager snapped with irritation, Sir, I've told you already. Go and find out who you've offended badly enough to make such a bold move against you. Paulo stood speechless and furious. His business was declining, and this was the last thing he needed. Sighing in defeat, he decided to visit his son-in-law's office to ask for help. Just imagining walking into FS Company made him shiver in fear, but it was his only option. Standing up, Paulo walked out and slammed the door shut. The bank manager laughed bitterly once he was gone. At home, Chloe was scrolling through her phone when she saw an incoming call from her mother. She rejected it immediately. She knew what her mom wanted, money, and she was tired of hearing it. Chloe didn't have a single penny left, and Asher hadn't given her any allowance, which frustrated her even more. She knew she needed to act fast and get pregnant to keep enjoying the luxurious life. Suddenly, an idea came to her. She rushed into her walk-in closet, picked out a sexy jumpsuit, and decided to shop for lingerie to seduce Asher, who was finally coming home today. Asher was always busy and rarely came home. Even when he did, they stayed in separate rooms. What annoyed her most was how he'd threatened her not to reveal their marriage publicly. If she did, he warned he would bankrupt her father's company. That terrified her. In the public's eyes, she was only Asher's fiancée, something she hated deeply. Gritting her teeth in anger, she got dressed, did her makeup, and headed downstairs. When she saw the butler, she rolled her eyes and ignored him. Nobody in that house respected her, and it angered her deeply. She grabbed her car keys, walked out, and headed for her Ferrari, a gift from her father. She hopped in and drove off toward the shopping mall. Back at her home, Tessie smashed her phone